here are the ingredients for today's cook. So we're just going to grab some Carb Balance tortillas. I happen to have tomato powder available on Amazon, and of course some Gospel from Meat Church. That unlabeled bottle is my mushroom foundation that I have the recipe for in one of my other videos here. We're going to go with some oval hamburger pickles, Vidalia onion, some halloumi cheese. If you're not familiar with it, I got it at my regular grocery store, which happens to be a Vaughn's here in California. 93.7 lean ground beef, 1 pound. And the reason for all of this, we're going to test my BBQ whiskey, which I made earlier this week. And if you guys want the recipe for this, I'm still developing it, but let me know in the comments. I'm going to be using some skewers for cooking today, and I'm going to use this food grade stainless steel tube to assemble and a 2-inch cookie cutter for sizing everything, a tamper just to get everything settled, and of course an instant read thermometer later on. So for these, we are just going to take our cookie cutter and see if we can cut ourselves some rounds. This is what you're looking for. It's just small rounds like this. I'm gonna try 16 to start, and then we'll see how it goes from there. May end up being enough for this recipe, or may want more. I'm using 2 skewers here for my actual construction for when I put it on the smoker. I have no idea what to do with the rest of these tortilla wheels, but there you go, you got that. So this is halloumi cheese. If you are not familiar with halloumi cheese, it's a Greek cheese. It's hard. It's a little bit salty. Don't be thinking feta. Feta is very crumbly. Halloumi is not as crumbly. It is quite pliable. The really cool thing about halloumi, though, is you cut it into little strips, drop it in a pan with maybe some olive oil. It doesn't really melt. It browns and it gets a bit of a nutty flavor to it. So we're going to use it here because it's going to be on the smoker for 30 minutes or so to get the beef fully cooked. And if you just put like a cheddar in there, it would just melt down and drip away, since this entire thing cooks on its side. So we're going to give this a try. Like I said, your regular grocery store will probably stock halloumi. I am going to attempt to cut these thinner, just down this direction, and then cut out my circles that I need. The nice thing about this is you can break up halloumi if you want to, just small pieces like that. If that's what you want to do, you can do it and mix it in with the beef. I'm actually just going to cut mine and then cut the circles out of it just for presentation. So halloumi is a little bit springy, I guess, spongy. It just cuts, nicely. You just stand it up and then you give it a cut with a knife. You get a couple of nice layers like this. It is completely edible as it is. It doesn't need to be cooked or anything like that. What I will say is when you chew on halloumi, when it's fresh, it squeaks on your teeth. You will definitely hear it. And you should be prepared for it because it's a little bit different than a regular cheese, if you will. So we will put this aside, and then we have our halloumi discs. Use them as they are, as thick or as thin as you like. It's entirely up to you when you cook your version of this. I actually like halloumi. I like it a little bit thick. It does not taste like mozzarella, even though it may look like it. It is a very much more salty version of a cheese compared to a mozzarella. So, I would encourage you to give this a try, but you use whatever cheese you want to use as you're cooking. Just keep in mind that the other cheeses will melt and they may actually leave the tube that we are cooking. Just a quick sidebar. This is halloumi. I put a little bit of sunflower oil in a pan on medium-high heat, and it just cooks up like this. You know, you could fry it, you can pan sear it like this. There is some moisture in it, so you could use a dry pan, but keep an eye on it because you could burn it without a little bit of oil or butter in there. But you just go ahead and cook it like this, and after a few minutes it'll turn brown and the flavor will change a little bit. And it is an extraordinary little treat. And after just a couple of minutes, this is what you end up with your halloumi in the pan. That nice crispy brown layer on it. And just flip it over, another couple of minutes in there, and your snack is done. Now for the onions, this is pretty straightforward. Nobody needs to watch me cutting up an onion. You're cutting it on the equator so that you end up with rings like this. And we are looking for the rings closer to the center, like these guys. Oh, these are nice and thick, because these are about the same size as our cheese and our tortilla. So cut them, take them apart, use whatever you like. Another option with this too is, I personally like onions. I'll just pan fry the rest of these so they won't go to waste. But the other thing you can do with these is you could just dice them up and mix them in with the meat as well, and they'd be just as tasty there. So entirely up to you how you want to approach using the onions. Let's do our seasonings. So we are going to use some of the Gospel all-purpose seasoning rub from Meat Church. And this one's going to be simple. It is 2 teaspoons. So we will, I'm lucky enough to have a measure here that is 2 teaspoons. So we got that. Then we are going to go 1 teaspoon of our tomato powder, which of course I have not opened yet. I will say, if you're not familiar with the tomato powder, it is literally powdered tomato, powdered dried tomato, and it is a treat. It is delicious to work with. I would highly recommend adding some to your pantry, and it works very well as a bit of a flavor booster. Add just a little bit more because I like that. And then I have a 1/2 teaspoon of the mushroom foundation that I have created. Again, the recipe for this is in one of the earlier videos on the channel. And that is literally a salt-free foundation with primarily spices and mushrooms. Now, you don't need to watch me mix this. I'm just going to cut it gently with a spatula and mix it up until everything is incorporated. All right, let's assemble one of these for you. So we already have 1 stack in there. We are going to grab 2 of our tortillas that we cut earlier. I like to fold them in half like that, stick it down in. It'll come out nice and flat. There's a reason that we're stacking these, because once we put them on the skewer, we're going to space them out a little bit so the smoke gets all around the edges on them. So now we have that is in there. We are going to grab a bit of our beef, and I'm using a tamper just to press this down nicely all the way around inside, nice and flat. And this is the crushing tool for my blender, and a little bit of olive oil on the end keeps everything nice. So on top of the beef, I think, well, you know what, let's go, we're gonna mix it up a little bit. We're gonna go with our onion, and we'll just get that down in there, and then we'll drop our pickle in there and press it in. One thing that I did with the pickle before putting it in here was I patted all of the pickles dry just to take out some of the moisture. That onion's going to give up some moisture during the cook. The beef is obviously a pretty lean beef at a 93.7, but it's still going to add some drippings. There's a little bit of moisture that's going to come out of the halloumi as it cooks, and we want to try to manage that as much as possible. So now on top of the halloumi, and this is simply my choice, I am doing another layer of beef, and just making sure that we have enough in here. And then I'm just going to go ahead and tamp it all down nice and flat. My goal is that we should have thin enough beef patties in here that everything will cook pretty quickly. We don't have to worry too much about our cook time on there. And then we simply put 2 more of our pieces on top, and that's it. So when you next see this, it'll be on a skewer. And here we go. Finished product, ready to go and hit the Even Embers smoker and get cooked up for lunch today. So we'll see if we can give you a bit more of a close-up in there. You've got the tortilla, you've got the beef, which is seasoned, you got some halloumi, you can see the pickle and the onion, a little more beef, some smoke space in there for smoke to circulate and toast those tortillas. And let me tell you, make them as big or as small as you like. I expect these to come out absolutely delicious, but what's really important to me is the serving size is smaller, and this is plenty here for a couple of meals for me. And that really makes me excited about this recipe. Once again, back to the Even Embers drum smoker here. I just love getting this thing fired up and doing some quick cooks on it. And we've got a little bit of post oak. We've got some of the B&B Championship charlogs on there. And I think maybe we're going to try for around 300 today and see if we can get there. That should be a good spot to cook our burger tube, because I don't know what else to call that thing, but we're going to call it a burger tube. We are sitting just a little shy of 300 here. Open things up a bit, pump us up over 300. And then we can go ahead and get this on. I created one giant burger patty with the leftovers after I was done with all of this. Chopped up some halloumi, chopped up the pickles, mixed it in, and we're just gonna put that on there to cook it up because we're not gonna waste it and it's gonna be delicious. But this is gonna be a very interesting cook, especially when I get to my barbecue whiskey that I am going to coat this in at the final stages. Hey everyone, I appreciate you joining me in the backyard again. We're just having a little bit of fun today. I was kind of thinking about this idea. I wanted something that was kind of like a burger, but again, GLP-1 friendly, something that is lean, lots of protein, and just really tastes good. So we're gonna try what you saw, and we're gonna see if we can actually come up with something that is tasty, that gives you maybe some of the flavor of a burger, you know, without the carbs from the bread, or without any of the extra fat from a less lean beef than what we might be using. And portion control is a part of what we're doing here today, because you're just not gonna be eating as much if you're on a GLP-1. At least that's what we are told, and that's what people can expect. I know my own experience, it's true. So I'm very much interested in lots of flavor, small portion sizes, and this is a way for me to do this. I've got 4, we'll call them burgers, I guess, that I'm cooking up right now. And that's probably at least 2 meals, probably 4 if I space it out, and then we'll kind of see how it goes. So for the next little while, half an hour, 40 minutes, it's just gonna be on the smoker, generally cooking, getting the beef completely cooked all the way through. Then I'm gonna come back with a barbecue whiskey that I made specifically to glaze this entire thing and add just a little bit of color and a little bit of flavor to it as we finish up. Not going heavy with the sauce, gonna keep it super light. Thanks for coming along. Intake just shy of 3. The exhaust open a little less than half. And we are locked on at 325 in the smoker. This thing is awesome. What can I say? It just does its job every time, all the time. I am so happy I bought this. 250 bucks, Home Depot, no sponsorship, just my money on the line. And this was a great purchase. I recommend you take a look at my other video where I do a full review of this thing in its first burn-in. Well, it's been 30 minutes, sitting here rock solid at 325. I kind of don't want to open this because, you know, we're just going to screw up all the heat here. But want to take a look, want to see how we're doing in here. So here we go. Look at all of that cheesy, beefy gorgeousness coming along beautifully in the smoker. Oh, look at that. The cheese is still holding up. Everything is coming along nicely. You can see things are starting to get crispy on the tortillas. Cheese is browning off. The beef is brown, or beef is turning a beautiful mahogany color. Let me grab a temp sensor and see how we're looking here. All right, so our burger is sitting right around 165, 167 internal, so that's all done. I'm gonna start putting some finishing whiskey on that. And this is sitting around 145 or so, so we're gonna let that ride for a little while, and then we will hit it with some of the BBQ whiskey, which, I should note, does not actually have any alcohol in it. We're just calling it that because it looks like a whiskey, that's all. Now, this is the whiskey that I was talking about earlier. It is a very flavorful creation that I'm working on, and it takes a little bit of time, takes a little bit of effort. It's a multi-stage process to create this, but you can kind of see why I'm calling it a whiskey, because it's got that coloring and it's kind of translucent. Now, there is a ton of flavor packed into this, from Sichuan peppercorns to mushrooms to half a dozen other ingredients and spices. And it is designed to glaze up and lacquer a product in whatever you're smoking. So we're going to give it a try here and see how it works out. All right, you are zoomed in on the meat, not on me. So we will give this a try. Now, this is a little bit thicker than water mixture that we're working with here. And we'll see how it does on this, because it has some ingredients in it that very much make for an interesting experience. That's my hope. But we will find out once I get this thing done and we end up giving this a try. One thing I'm seeing right away is those tortillas, those keto tortillas, are very dry. Obviously going to be very crispy when we get this taken back inside, and we are ready to give it a serve. In the meantime, I'm just going to keep putting this on. There is some maple syrup in this. I call it a glaze. I'm going to keep calling it a whiskey for now because it's not as thick as a glaze. And there is also an ingredient called maltose, which is a sugar. Maltose is maybe half as sweet as honey and yet a bit thicker. It melts very easily at a low temperature. And the point behind it is it gives you a nice glaze on things. Obviously you don't get the honey flavor, but this is kind of a situation where you don't really want a honey flavor. You just want a nice glaze, and you're starting to see a little bit of that in here. As it sits right now, things are looking very, ooh, that is super hot in there. Okay. Enjoy your last look. We'll be back in just a minute. And here we are, folks. We are about ready to come off. This is a nice close-up. I am very excited to see if this actually tastes anything even remotely like a burger. And we'll know in just a few minutes. I think the way to tackle this is we are going to disassemble this. We're going to see what this looks like. I'll give you guys some close-ups, and then we are going to cut on through Ooh, grab the sanchuku for this. And we will see how this all turns out. It's looking good. It's got nice color. The glaze worked really well. I'm super excited to see what happens. You can see here where there's a doubling up. That's basically where we will spread these apart. And we will find out if we ended up cooking anything worthwhile here. So in theory, this is one. Got some nice juiciness in there. And then we got a couple here, and these guys are stuck together, but we will pull them apart. So this is gonna be number 2. Wow, that one is stacked, nice and big. So some of that whiskey that I used in here actually worked out really well in terms of keeping the interior of these moist and soft. So we're gonna have a whole lot of smoke flavor on these things, and we should have some little bit of smoke ring in a couple of different locations if this all worked out well, and we'll know in just a moment. I am going to cut one of these. I'm going to set this aside. We'll pick on this one. And we're going to cut this in half and see what exactly is happening down inside this burger. Oh, I like what I'm seeing in here already. Dogs are excited, and this looks for all the world like a burger. I mean, there's a bit of a smoke ring on the beef there. The onion is soft. We'll just see how this goes. I'm gonna have a bite here, so bear with me a second. Wow, there's a lot going on here. I get a little bit of the smoke, the onion, but it's soft. The halloumi is nice and squeaky as I chew through it. The beef is well tendered, just slightly salty. And I'm getting a little bit of the barbecue whiskey. The flavorings that are in it are adding, that Sichuan peppercorn is adding just a very slight bit of heat on the back end as I eat through this. I'm really impressed. This is a very tasty and flavorful combination. The dill pickle coins that we used on this, I think, are absolutely the right choice. That dill just kind of stands out a little bit, gives a really nice flavor in there. Excuse me, I need to finish this. Now, hopefully, you guys can see me and this, because I really do want to give you a good look at this. You can see some of the smoke ring right around there. We've got the pickle in here, the onion, the halloumi, some more of that smoke ring on there. This actually turned out really well. I'm really impressed by how this stayed together and executed. And the flavor, the taste is fantastic. I'm gonna have some more, so please bear with me. Yeah. I was worried when I was cooking this, the tortilla was going to get too crispy. And the ones on the end are very crispy, kind of like a tortilla chip, basically. So they're gonna add, kind of a nice texture in your mouth when you're eating these things. This is an internal one. I was actually worried that maybe I needed to go with a keto style bread cut down, or just cut keto style burger buns down to a smaller size and use them. And I may do that in the future. But this is absolutely a delicious alternative. And everything here is high protein, GLP-1 friendly, low fat. It's just fantastic. Obviously, when I'm making videos, it takes a little bit more to actually prepare everything and make it. And there's a lot of editing, and I have to go back and do things once or twice. But if you're just doing this on your own at your home, this is not a difficult thing to prepare. It's fast and easy. I'll have the recipe down below so you can follow along if you like. Yeah, I'm a fan. Absolutely. 10 out of 10. Will make again for sure. As we finish up, gang, I'll just say this. Look, if you have any questions, let me know. Just drop them down below. Track me down. I'm easy to find. If you like this, give me a thumbs up. If not, tell me what I should be doing, how to improve this stuff. But I'm just trying new ideas and taking you along for the ride. My dogs are very happy that there's meat here. This is dog number 2. This is Tabby. And all she knows right now is that there's burger stuff on the counter and she's not allowed near it. Hey. Yeah. There we go. All right, gang. Thank you very much. Hope to see you in the next one.